me say a heartfelt good morning to one and all, the entire trial this morning. Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martini, good morning. How's everybody doing? Yeah, welcome to another edition of To The Point. A little bit of a late start this morning. A humble apology for that. And certainly hope I can make it up. Those of you a little annoyed, hey, you started the show late. My apology for that this morning. Welcome. It's Tuesday, and usually it's the day of the week that we entertain a member of the opposition. And actually, that's one of the reasons why I had a bit of a late start this morning. I was actually waiting, and I saw, well, the individual hasn't arrived as yet. I'm assuming they may be on their way. So I thought I'd just kick in for the time being until they arrive. If they don't, well, we just switch this morning and get into something else so far. So let me say good morning once again to all, wherever you at. Those of you who are viewing this morning, whether it's via social media platforms, Facebook, good morning to you. Hope all is well. And those of you who are probably viewing via our YouTube channel also, hope all is well with you. And thanks for taking the time to listen and view with us this morning. Those of you listening via terrestrial radio, whether it's 105.5 or 105.9, good morning, and hope all is well with you. It's another beautiful day in the Spice that I would say had some early morning showers. Hope it didn't affect you in any way. I spoke to someone yesterday and he said, man, if I could get at least 1 week of sunshine, he would be happy for that because of things that he needs to have taken care of, and the intermittent showers from time to time is posting a problem for him. So there are folks who love when it rains, and there are folks who just feels that, hey, let's get that sunshine. And so let's hope it rolls out. But I like it when it rains. For those of you out there who are listening this morning, and pretty shortly, we're probably going to take a break shortly and come back. But as I mentioned before, it's Opposition Tuesday. I was waiting on a member of the opposition to pop in, but they haven't arrived as yet. So as soon as they do so, if they don't, then we switch. Probably getting to an open line forum this morning if the individual doesn't arrive. Maybe they're late. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they are just late this morning for whatever reason. Probably got caught in traffic. And as we speak, the individual arrives. So we're going to take a break shortly and get back, of course, with you here. So stick around with us, folks. We're coming right back here on To The Point this morning. Don't touch it out. We're coming right back.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily Pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play Pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money day.
All the Christmas classics are on Yuletide Sundays from November 13th to December 18th, 2022, 5 to 7 p.m. on Classic Radio and GBN Television with Godfrey Augustine and Janelle McDonald. Made possible by Claire Vision Eye Center and Gittins Healthcare. Meet Dexter Johnson, PhD Aerospace Engineer and Financial Services Executive on Interest in Grenadians. This Wednesday, November 16th at 8 p.m. on GBN TV and social media platforms. Season 2 of Interest in Grenadians is brought to you through the kind compliments of ACB Grenada Bank, Simply Smarter Banking, ECOT Grenada. We deliver all your daily needs. Gittins Pharmacare, the pharmacy that cares. And Hideaway Waterfront Apartments in Grand Anse for you to relax and enjoy time away from the buzz. Dr. Dexter Johnson on Interest in Grenadians this Wednesday at 8 p.m. on GBN.
welcome back to our listeners and viewers this morning. It's To The Point here on TBN TV and K105 Radio. And as mentioned in my introduction this morning, we usually on Tuesday entertain a member of the opposition. And this morning we have no other than Ms. Oliver Joseph. Ms. Oliver, good morning, and how are you, sir?
Good morning.
You don't mind me calling you your first name?
No, not at all. No, good morning, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Good morning to all your viewers and listeners internationally. I recall as a little boy growing up, you're probably too young to know that. The announcers used to say, "To all my friends in Radio Land." You don't know that.
I would remember that.
No, you're too young for that.
even though I may have heard it, I would remember it.
So, good morning to everyone listening.
Well, it's a pleasure having you here this morning, sir. I think it's actually the first time I've ever having a conversation with you in this particular capacity on radio, and certainly I want to welcome you being part of To The Point this morning here.
Thank you.
On the Q105.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
We got lots to talk about this morning, and certainly hope as the morning progresses, we will entertain a couple of your phone calls of the viewers and listeners out there who may want to ask you a question or two. We will certainly entertain that this morning. I want to kick it off by, asking you to get your pinpoint or your response to this. You've been not that successful in the last general election. What is the way forward for Oliver Joseph in the way forward? In this political arena right now, what is the way forward from Mr. Oliver Joseph?
My role currently is assisting the party to rebuild, reorganize, restructure, because recall that even though we did not win the election, but the difference in vote nationally was only 2,300. Mm-hmm. So we have a very strong base. We have a lot of people out there who are looking towards us for leadership, and that is what we are doing. We are preparing the party to contest whenever the election is due, so that we can be a force to reckon with. It's not the first time we have been in opposition, so we know how to walk to come back. we have lost. This is the third time, and we always succeeded in coming back because the base of the party have always stood with us, and that is the same all over the country where I go. People are depending on us and looking forward to the return of the new National Party, because this is a very strong party.
All right. The parish of St. David's, that's the parish that you ran in the last election. I mean, there were lots of projects that you were able to achieve in that parish over the years you being the MP, such as the houses in Lassages, the fire station, the hotels, the lights in Voli, Lassages, etc. Tell us about that.
Right. So I had a development agenda for the parish. Because we are the only parish without a tongue. So we lack certain things, because in a tongue you will have.
Let's say St. David's is Virgin Parish, right?
Yes. So I went about with a development agenda, and the top of it was the creation of economic activities that will bring jobs to the people and educational opportunities. So we started out by lighting up the playing fields. The big one, of course, was Lassages, which everybody was looking forward to. And then we needed to attract investment in the tourism sector, and we were able to get Six Senses Hotel to be located in St. David's. And I recall when I said that Six Senses coming to St. David's, somebody asked me where we're going to put the hotel. It seems that there is no adequate space or land site in which a hotel will go. And now we are getting two hotels. Six Senses Hotel almost complete, and Intercontinental by the same developers. And these hotels, the Six Senses, for example, currently employs about 300 workers, and on completion will employ 250 permanent workers. So that is creation of jobs for the people. And housing is a major problem, and therefore we were able to get 225 housing units built in St. David's by the People's Republic of China to help cushion the shortage. However, I just want to let you know, we have 225 housing units and 1,350 applications.
Wow.
So
there were more applications than the
a lot more. 225 and is 5 times more application, because housing is a real issue in this country, not only in St. David's. It's a real issue because you find a lot of the young people now want to move out and go on their own, but they cannot afford to build a house. They wouldn't get a mortgage, so they are looking for these low-income houses. And if this government plan was to keep expanding and the housing stock in Grenada to create more units so that more people could have their own home and therefore live the standard and the quality of life of the people of Grenada, because that is our objective, really, to live the quality of life. For example, the bathroom and toilet project that we had backed on was a major project. And I pass and I hear the old people talk about how it improves the quality of life. They don't have to go outside when it's raining. You know how important that is? For if you don't know about outside toilet, you probably wouldn't appreciate it so much. But if you know about that and you have one right inside, for the disabled people, the blind, the people who are on wheelchair, the comfort that provided, it was a major project of the last government to improve the living standard of our people. So a lot has been done in St. David's in my 2 terms there. But of course, people, after a certain time, all the opposition need to go and to say to them is that, well, we had an MP there long enough, let's change. So they forget. So in the last election campaign, if you know, there was no discussion about the economy and how it's performing, because NNP could not be challenged on the economic performance, because the report from the World Bank, IMF, everyone was showing the growth in the economy and how well the country was performing. So that was never an issue about economic development. The only issue in the last election was time for change. And we have a new leader, and we have a young leader, and asking the young people to vote for change. And that was the message. And the young people fall for the message of change, and of course fall for a lot of the promises that were made to them, which now they're realizing that most of it was just empty promises, like making everybody permanent. I mean, that was a dangerous promise to make, you know.
You know, as you tread your conversation to that level, give me your opinion of, if it could be personal or from a party objective, your assessment of the 100 days of the new administration.
Well, personally, I don't subscribe to this 100 days theory. I think that's just a media thing in the Western country, like America and so on, that put up this 100 days and let me see what you do. I think in our construct, that is too early to judge any government. But from my reading of the first 100 days, I think the government has not delivered on the promises that it has made. I said it's early days, but of course they said they will do it. You see, when you commit to doing it, that's how people will judge you and doing it. So when, for example, the nurses were given contract, that came as a real shock to them. They say, but you said that there will be no contract. In fact, you went as far as to say that contract is illegal and you will do away with contract, and here we are now, and you are giving us contract again. And they were really taken by surprise. I gave a nurse a drop, and she said she couldn't believe it, that they will be given contract after this promise that they will get rid of contract, they will make everybody permanent, that you cannot have 2 public service, you must have 1. Now, if you understand, I work in the public service for 30 years, you know, from right down to a clerk, right up to permanent secretary, over the period I stayed there. And there, for our size of population, it must be proportional to your public service. So if I tell you the figures in the public service, it may shock you. We have close to 7,000 government employees, you know. So we have 1,000 police, right?
Yeah.
You have 2,000 teachers. There is 3,000, right? When you're at prison with 275 nurses, and then the mainstream, what we call civil servants then,
yes,
those that occupy the ministries,
yeah,
there's another 3,600, you know.
Yeah.
So you cannot continue to add more and more people to the public service, because what will happen? Your recurrent expenditure will increase and wages, salaries, and pension, and you will have very little left to do everything else. I remember when we first came when I came into politics first time, and in 2013, 70% of all recurrent revenue was going to pay salaries, wages, and pension, 70% on the recurrent side. So that means you have 30% to take care of the hospital and do all the other social programs. And therefore, you are constrained. You can't do what the amount of services you like to deliver with 30%. So when we went on the structural adjustment program, we said we must get it under 50%. And you know what was the recommendation of the IMF to get it under 50%? They say, well, you need to send them 2,000 people. We said to them, and that's why we call it a homegrown program, we will get it under 50 and we wouldn't send them a single person. They say, okay, let us see your plan for doing it. We said, for every 10 persons that exit the service, we'll only take it 3. So natural attrition. And that we will strengthen the opportunities in the private sector so they could absorb more people. You could have more people going out in different institutions, create institutions and let them take on the role that government playing. And we got it down to 45%. Under the structural adjustment program, 45%. So if now you decide, okay, I will make everybody permanent. So you add an extra 2,000 and you bring up the percentage of recurrent revenue that goes towards salary wages. And now you have to add pension. Because once you pay the retroactive payment, the monthly payment become recurrent, Every month these people have to get pension. So if you bring it back up to 70% or 65%, then you only have 35% to do all what you want to do.
That's understandable.
So it's not as easy as it sounds, to say, well, we'll just make everybody permanent in the service. There are consequences for that. And then you have what we do in the program, the Fiscal Responsibility Act, where we set targets. How much money that will go towards salary wages as a percentage of GDP. So in other words, salary and wages cannot exceed 9% of GDP is one of the targets inside there. With debt to GDP ratio, 55%. So we set targets there. Expenditure in the current year would not exceed 2% of the previous year. Just fiscal discipline, and it is that fiscal discipline that helped us during COVID, when COVID came, and we were able to pay salaries on time. Pay 4% increase during a COVID period, 4% increase.
Mr. Oliver, as you gone into the segment of COVID, now let's talk about the state of the economy. Yeah. In terms of before and after COVID, we know since the Ukraine war, how is this affecting things? And this is going to dive us into the cost of living there is now, and that's also going to lead us into our conversation pertaining to the recent release that your of course organization released yesterday, pertaining to the cost of living. Now, explain to us the state of the economy before and after COVID, and how are things affecting.
All right, so let us look at 2019. That's a year just before COVID, because they started for us in 2020.
Yeah. So
2019, the economy performed well. We had a recurrent surplus. We had a growth of 5%. So the economy was doing well. And then 2020 come. And we had, in March, we were severely affected, because the rest of the world was affected. And we started taking certain measures like closing down the economy. Because if you close down the airport and the seaport, nothing can come in.
So true.
So then the hotels close because tourists don't come in. So the workers have to go home. So every aspect of society was affected. So the government had to respond to say, listen, we need to find money to have a stimulus package that will assist these workers and the various sectors affected through no fault of theirs, and COVID international pandemic. So we had to take certain measures, at the same time protect lives and livelihood. So we had a combination of measures, soft loan, stimulus package, incentives for the various sectors to assist people. Then we had to keep paying salaries. Imagine taxes on international transaction, there is trade.
Yes.
Accounts for 50%, just a little over 50% of recurrent revenue, you know. And you close the port, so you close off your main source of revenue. So where did you get the money from? The question is, where did NNP get the money from to carry on all these activities? We got it because of prudent fiscal management and discipline. We had a savings that we could draw down on instead of borrowing, because we couldn't borrow our way out of the crisis like other countries were doing. In 2021, to keep supporting the budget, there was small borrowing taking place, not to the extent to bring the debt to GDP ratio over 100%, as some people were arguing at that time that NNP will have to borrow and the debt to GDP ratio will exceed 100%. The debt to GDP ratio at the end of 2021 was 69%, better than the rest of the OECS members of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. So we were able to manage the economy in such a way that despite the lockdown and despite all the other sectors that were affected, able to keep the economy growing and keep the economy in a path of growth and sustainable development because of what was done in the previous years. And so the COVID, then in March you had the war in Ukraine.
Yep.
So, well, we live, as you know, interconnected world. So you had shortages of food. You have increase in freight charges affecting every country because we import almost everything we need, you know. As you know, we hardly produce anything here.
Yes.
I'm not talking about agricultural produce. I'm talking about manufactured goods. So we have to import almost all our needs, and that's not unique for small island developing states. There is a feat here for small island developing states because it's too cost to produce certain things here, you know. If you have to bring in the raw material and face the high cost of electricity and labor costs, then in businesses would not want to easily locate here. They will go to other places that are cheap.
If they're looking for a profit margin.
Well, of course, not all businesses looking for a profit margin, and the bigger the profit margin for them is more attractive is the area, the country. And so there are certain realities we have to face as a small island developing state, and key to that is proper management of the economy, because you have constraints which you must work with. So I'm very pleased of my role in the last two governments when I served the last two terms, of how we managed to take the economy forward. That is something I feel very, very proud and very happy about, and could talk about that to everyone about the successes that we've had, and I was pleased to be part of a government with that kind of level of success.
All right. So, let's take a short break. We come back. When we come back, I want us to get into that release that your organization released last evening. We're going to talk about in terms of the cost of living and HODs, and I know you would like to give an address on that, your opinion on that when we do come back. All right. Hey, folks, it's To The Point here on the K105 and GBN TV. We're coming right back.
Boy.
It is important to know what your road signs and markings means. The zigzag lines means you should not park in the marked area. Parking is allowed inside the solid white lines on the edge of the road. Remember, look out for pedestrians. Pedestrians, be sure the vehicle comes to a complete stop before crossing. These tips can save your life. These tips can make our roads safer for all users. Be safe, be seen, be smart. A message from the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force.
must say welcome back once again to our listeners and viewers this morning to The Point for today, Tuesday, the 15th day of November 2022. And with me this morning is Mr. Oliver Joseph, who is this morning representing the New National Party or the opposition here in Grenada. Mr. Joseph, when we wrapped up a while ago in this previous video you were making, I did tell you that I want to getting to that statement, that release, I would say, that statement that the New National Party released last evening, and it all relates to the cost of living in Grenada and so forth. I'm not sure if you want to chime in on that release, give us some explanation or the reason for that particular release from your organization.
Yeah, sure. Well, our organization, as a political organization, always listen to the people, because we represent people. So we have heard the cries of the people. But we are in opposition. The government is the one that must take the policy measures. Yeah. So the release meant to say to the government, listen, we have heard the cries of the people. They are complaining bitterly about the high cost of living. And therefore we are calling on the government to adopt measures to cushion the effect. So what did we do? Because I read some comments on Facebook. They say, well, you were there. What did you do? So let me say what we did and make some suggestions for the new government.
I do have a question that I would like to ask.
Yes.
What are some of the measures that you would think?
Yeah, sure. I will come with that. But let me deal with our what we did
yes.
when we were there. Now, there is a principle in economics called tax incidence, which means if you introduce a tax, you must be certain and who the tax will affect. That's what it simply mean by tax incidence. So, if you increase property tax and you have no property or it doesn't affect you,
no,
you're certain there's property owners you're targeting.
I guess that's straightforward.
No, but it's straightforward. But what I'm saying is I lead that basis to come to the point I'm going to make.
Okay.
Right? About the measures that you must take. The measures you take, you must be certain that you are targeting the poor and vulnerable. Because this group is the one that is mostly affected by any increase in prices. So if a household income is less than $1,000, so that's all the money they have to spend, and there's an increase in electricity, to the extent where when they pay the electricity bill, there's no more money to pay the water bill because there's an increase. When it was, so you used to pay $100, for example, in electricity bill, then it doubled, but the other 100 was going towards paying the water, right? So now you're in a worse off position. Okay, you can't pay. What we did as government in the last budget, first thing we did was target electricity costs, because that is where we are getting the most complaint about the high costs of electricity, which was caused by high prices for oil and the global market. So we said, okay, we remove the environmental levy up to consumption of up to 500 kilowatt hours and zero it up to 500 kilowatts hour. No, you will not pay any VAT on it. So we are clear who we targeting, the poor people who will have less than 500 kilowatt hour use, so that they can see the benefit of it. And then we announced an increase in the zero rated list. So we had a list of items that you paid zero VAT on.
Yes.
And what we did in the last budget, the Minister of Finance added some more items to that list, right, to give further relief. And then we cap the price of gasoline at the pump, because the price is going up. And now we say, okay, we put the cap at $15. Now, there is a petrol tax of $5.50. When we cap it at $15, we give up almost all. So we said, we make the sacrifice, give up some of the taxes there to keep it at $15, so that you give some relief in that sector, because we did not want gasoline price to reach up to $17 and $18, because what happened then, the boss may be calling for increase bus fares.
Bus fare.
All right, and taxis, so we cap it. All these measures are targeted measures. And then we increase the amount of money that were given under the seed program. So the amount of money that were given to households were increased to $450 from $300 to $450 to give relief to the poor, targeted intervention. So we were very targeted in our intervention with these relief measures, and we know who we were targeting and who will benefit from it. So we are seeing that this government announced, for example, freight will be capped at a 2019 level. We do not see this benefiting the consumers. Why? Because freight rates started declining in the last 6 months or so. Then you have, if you started from the 1st of November for 6 months, and there are businesses that have stocks there that will last a year, so they will benefit from this new thing because they already have the stocks. So they wouldn't be passing on any savings because they have no savings. What they have there is the old stock.
Yes.
And then you have a situation where the cost of the item itself increase. Okay, you're charging on costs, insurance, and freight. So the first element there is the cost, which of the item produced increased. Well, the insurance is a percentage of the cost. And then the freight, you address the freight rate. But if you cap the freight rate, so it becomes, say, 20% less, and what happens if the cost of the item itself increased by 25%? There will be no benefit. So we are saying they need to examine other measures. For example, zero rate, you need to zero rate more items, food items. Because I'm focusing strictly on food items.
Yes.
Because that's where I get the complaint. I hardly get a complaint about that thing, but the food items, zero rate more items. You have a situation now where the government current government, took a policy decision to remove the petrol tax completely on gasoline. So they're not collecting zero.
Yeah.
I told you it's $5.50 per gallon was the levy. Instead of leaving the cap at $15, collecting the petrol tax, whether it's 15 you will get $2 or $3. Right? Collect it, and so that if you zero rate chicken leg and you give up the money there, you could collect it back from the petrol tax. Right?
Yeah.
So you see, when you remove the petrol tax and you sell the gas to $12.62 or whatever, $12 something cents, and you're the cheapest in the OECS, you make it just to make a political point, because to me that's not sound fiscal policy, because you need to collect revenue. There were no complaint at $15. People got used to $15 for a gallon of gas, because there is no change. It's capped there. So,
but it is low now.
Yeah,
it is low now in terms of cost.
No, I'm telling you, they're not collecting any petrol tax on it. It's the only OECS country that is not collecting tax on gas, just to get it at the lowest in the OECS. But I'm saying it would have been better to collect some. You could reduce the $5.50 entirely up to the government. Collect some there. Zero rate more items, food items.
Yeah.
Right? So you neutralize the effect and your revenue collection. And look at other ways in means in which you could bring benefit to the working people of this country. And then the government moved to restore the environmental levy that we had removed on electricity. So there's no benefit from the working for the poor man on electricity. So the cry all over the island is the high cost of electricity. So all we are calling on the government to do is look at measures, and because different countries respond differently, right? So Barbados have certain measures that they announced to give relief. St. Kitts, in St. Kitts from the 1st of November to the 31st of December, and food items and personal effects, you pay zero duties. That is their way of responding.
Yes.
The government must decide their way of responding, and they have experts in the cabinet and they have advisors. But whatever measures that you decide to introduce, you must bring relief to the poor and the suffering. The next thing I want to come on quickly to the debushing program. No, that's a seasonal program. Some people, that's all they do throughout the year. They look forward when the season comes, Easter season, Carnival season, Christmas season, to get a fortnight in the road.
Yes.
So we had 8 fortnights planned, with over 3,000 people getting employment. Now the debushing program started Monday, that's yesterday. You know, it's down to 2 fortnights. Only 2 fortnights, you know. They be given for the Christmas. That means approximately 2,000 people would not get a fortnight work for the Christmas in the seasonal program. That will put money in their pocket to help the family. You know the effect of this. I am sure you know about that because you go around the country. When these people get the pay on a Friday, all the money go back to the local shops and thing in the village, you know. Talk to any shopkeeper. Anytime they see the debushing program, and they're happy. Because these people, they don't work for much money, you know. Right? When they get so, I'm saying, if you collect from the same petrol tax that you're doing at zero, and you collect $2 million more or $3 million more, you could put that into the debushing seasonal program and create jobs. Then you will see the spin-off in the economy, because these people spend all on helping the family, and the shops all benefit. That is where you're going to see the real effect. So we are calling on the government to examine the programs. The 2 fortnights around Christmas time is not adequate and would not provide jobs, the temporary jobs we're talking about, for these ordinary people throughout the country.
All right.
I would say increase the amount, not too late, increase the amount of people, because you must pay them by December, so the most fortnight you probably get is 3. But you could increase the amount of gangs on the road. I come into St. David used to have the most gangs because it's the largest constituency walking. I come through, I see some small gangs on the road, and I was told they cut by half the amount of gangs we used to have doing it in the program.
All right.
That's a measure I think that the government really need to re-examine and take immediate effect, because for a lot of people, they would not have a good Christmas because of this policy decision of the government to give only 2 gangs and to cut it by half.
You know, for time constraints, let me get into this question that I want to ask you about. You know, what is your personal expectation about the budget for 2023? And that is going to be read soon and in a couple of weeks. What's your personal expectation about that? What do you foresee?
First of all, I say what I would like to see. I would like to see a budget that will give relief to the poor. That's first thing. Secondly, a budget that will lead to growth in the economy.
Yeah.
A budget that is balanced, a budget that can deliver to the people of Grenada, and a budget that will bring hope to people. I hope these are the things that will be in the budget. Whatever fiscal measures the government choose to adopt to bring these broad things that I outline, or as in using their own words, it was transformation. In order to bring the transformation that the campaign on, I would like to see a budget that addresses these things, because it is the government's responsibility. You see, any policy decision taken by the government will have either positive or negative effect on the country. So I hope that this government will think about the working class because a lot of people lost their jobs already. A lot of people home, they have big families. I know this lady with 6 children, sole breadwinner, sent home. How's she going to make it? She don't know how she's going to face the Christmas. Right. So you have this policy I see now of ordinary people sending home ordinary people, groundsmen, maids, wardens, and the environmental wardens, and these people cannot affect your transformational agenda. These are low level people, you know, and these are hardworking people, you know. You know, why you want to send them home and deprive them of a wage to assist their family? So I hope at the budget they will reconsider the action and really introduce measures that will lift people out of poverty.
All right. Mr. Oliver, let me ask you this question. In a recent town hall meeting, the Honorable Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell did make some allegations pertaining to, monies that was collected from an individual. And you also made the claim that, the NMP government did sell diplomatic passports. Do you wish to explain that statement?
No, I didn't say they sell diplomatic passport because I said that the gentleman was expected to pay $150. If I said they were selling diplomat, then anybody could come and buy one. That's not how it's done. Yeah. So if we want representation,
so that's why we're leading to a clarification of that.
So if we want, the policy of the government is to have representation around the world, but it's costly. You cannot afford to have all this representation. So you have wealthy people who said, listen, I can, for free, represent your country, seek businesses coming to your country, and I would like to be considered as an ambassador. Yeah. So we'll put them through the scrutiny tests. All the due diligence must be done, thorough, before any decision has been made, because we have a lot of people expressing interest, but we want to make sure that we are credible people. And the policy is, okay, you promise to help, you want to help, we want to make sure you're not coming forward just because you want a diplomatic passport, right? So we said there is a technical fund within the consolidated fund in which you're expected to contribute $150,000 US, which will go towards the state, right?
Yes.
As a indication that you are prepared to work and help. And then we will tell you in your letter of appointment what areas we would like you to focus on to assist the country. But that's an initial start to show that. Now, so the gentleman paid the $150,000 US to the Treasury, which the Prime Minister said he has a receipt for. He claims that $290 was sought.
So from $290,000.
Yeah, US. That is what he said.
Yeah.
I am saying if he has any evidence, and I'm going to repeat that on this station, of a cabinet conclusion that says he has to pay $290 US, he could publish it. Come forward with it. Because I am certain that there is no cabinet conclusion that asks the gentleman to pay $290,000 US. None. He says $140,000 was given out of the $290, $150 came to the Treasury, $140 went to South St. George. He must prove that. Prove how any government minister or public servant could get out from the Treasury $140,000 US sent to a party constituency office fund. Let him prove that. I challenge him to prove that. He could never prove that. So that's totally misleading, what the statement that he made. So first I'm saying here, categorically, he cannot produce any cabinet conclusion to show that $290,000 US was supposed to come to the government. And only $150 came and the other $140 went to South St. George constituency. He cannot prove that.
Okay. All right. Well, we're moving up. We have just roughly 7 more minutes left on this morning's program. And in this segment, I want to entertain some phone calls. So I'd ask you viewers and listeners out there, you may have a question or two you may like to ask Mr. Oliver and Joseph. And the lines are now open to listeners and viewers out there. Let's take our very first caller.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Telesford. Greetings and greetings to you. Yes, Mr. Joseph, the campaign over, The other party won the election, And you know why the people fire you? They fire you for incompetence, untrustworthiness, and corruption. That's what they fire you for. You have to understand that. Have a nice day, will you?
Thank you, sir, for your call there. We had a caller there. 435-2041, 435-2041. And lines are now open. If you have a question or two that you'd like to ask Mr. Oliver Joseph, who's with us this morning. It's Opposition Tuesday here on To The Point. Let's go back to the phone line and entertain another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome. Good morning to you, caller. Caller, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. GT, and good morning to Mr. Joseph. Mr. Joseph, I'm very happy to see you on TV this morning, and I'm glad you come to the Opposition Tuesday. I have a couple questions to ask, and then you will answer them. One, are you not happy to get your pension? Two, why didn't you advise your party about the cost of living and what you're doing now? Because the cost of living was much higher in your party before the war in Ukraine. Now, I want to ask you, what do you think about the faith funds and the other contract, CC or something so? So, Mr., it's a lot of things I want to ask you, but I won't have the time. Please explain these few. Mr. Joseph, have a nice day. Bye-bye.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, well, very simple. Yeah, very simple and straightforward.
Yep.
I am happy to receive my pension. I'm also happy that everybody else getting the pension that they're entitled to. If you work for an organization and you're entitled to your pension, I'm happy that you're getting your pension. So that's the first. The second one, I thought I had explained all the measures we took that was announced to help cushion the effect of the cost of living. So maybe the caller was not listening at the time. We took measures, and all we are calling on this government to do is to take measures that will bring benefit to you. That's all. That is the role of the government. Who else could we call upon to do that except the government? And thirdly, the faith organization. When the Prime Minister announced that $6.8 million were given to faith, that is the most misleading statement, because you want people to believe that $6.8 million was just given to the organization. He never went on to say they had over 300 employees. And if you do the calculation, that is not a lot of money in 2 years to spend and providing these services. So I thought, as a lawyer, he will first have an investigation into how the $6.8 million was spent. And if there were any irregularities, then at that stage you come to the nation and say that, for example, CJ's managerial services that were contracted out to pay for the services provided by constituency offices. Well, my constituency offices alone had 8 employees, and they paid the rent and they paid everything. No money came directly to us as MP. It went to this managerial service, and they provided everything. So what you have to do again, get your auditors, get accountants, have your investigation, and if any irregularities, come to the public with it. But to just go and announce that over the years, X amount was just given, like as though the government take the money and just give them and there was no accounting for it. Every cent a CJ's managerial service could be accounted for. Right. Every cent.
Let me take another caller. Caller, good morning, welcome.
Good morning to you, DC. Good morning to my dear heart. Oh my God. My dear heart, how you do?
I'm fine, Miss Jacob, I'm fine.
But I hear your voice again more fine. But let me tell you something. Last week, the government, I getting things from the government. When government go, government come. Me gas, I just get it from government. Me water bill. My water bill go to $136.99. And thank God, my brother is your wonderful brother that helped me beside the Honorable Dr. Keith Claudius Mitchell. I don't know what this government come to do. Well, let me tell you something. I ain't afraid to say it. January next year, February we call in the election.
Go take another 10 seconds and wrap up because we are a bit strapped for time this morning. We have to wrap the program up shortly. All right. And so I guess we get to the point where we may have to wrap up the calling segment for now because it's already 10 a.m. and we do have another program that comes up simultaneously after this one.
Yeah, I realized we didn't have much time.
And I'm not sure if anything in conclusion you'd like to give before we take a wrap this morning.
Yes. As we're in the Christmas season, I want to wish everyone all the best. But I'm extremely concerned about the number of people that will have a terrible Christmas because of measures taken by this government to terminate the service, by this government to put out less workers on the road, by this government not to give relief to the poor and vulnerable as promised. I would like to see some more measures by this government to alleviate the suffering of our people. What is Christmas season of goodwill? I want to wish all the listeners, I don't know if I'll get an opportunity to be back before the Christmas.
All right.
Because I think we need to address the issue of pension because I'm getting a lot of complaint.
Hopefully we could have you back and get some more discussion on that.
Well, if my party allows me, the party decides who come. So, but I would say it's a good opportunity to be on air, to provide some explanation on the current situation. And I look forward to the government taking on some of the suggestions that was made and giving relief to the people.
All right. So, Oliver Joseph, I want to thank you so much for being part of To The Point today. It was a pleasure having you here to share the information that you did with our listening and viewing audience. So, as you mentioned, I hope we could do this again sometime in the near future. I want to wish you all the best for the day, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hey, folks, that's where we come to the end of To The Point for today. Join us again for another edition. That will most likely be tomorrow. Have yourself a good one.